Hello guys, welcome to RideVP, the rideshare channel. My name is Serge, and in today's video, I very quickly want to go over my 1 week of renting a Tesla to drive for Uber. So my 1 week is as follows. You could see that my week started on a Thursday. I made $791.01, and it ended on a Wednesday, $353.04 is what I've made. So you could clearly see I worked 17 hours and 50 minutes the following week and 29 hours and 58 minutes at the start of the week. I could have done better work, but when I say better work, like I already worked 48 hours in that 1 week that I rented. So I was thinking that I wasn't working enough, because enough would be what? 70 hours a week. That would be about it. Maybe even 80. At least 60 hours to actually make a rental, make it worth your while. But at that point, you really just don't have a life, do you? At least I would not. I think 48 hours, that's still a pretty good week. 48 hours. You really don't find that many people that work more than 40 hours. On top of that, we're not really getting overtime. So working longer doesn't really justify renting a Tesla. All it means is you're not getting overtime for all that overtime work. That's just all it means. So I think if you're willing to work longer hours, more than 40 hours a week, you might as well just get a job, just grab a bunch of overtime, and you're probably going to be a lot healthier doing it. Like, especially if it's like one of the jobs where you get to move around a lot, because sitting down for 48 hours a week, that's already bad on your health. On top of that, you're driving all these different crazy hours, driving a bunch of drunk people around, and having to deal with all kinds of stuff, which at times could be stressful. On top of that, driving is probably stressful for a lot of people. Not for me. I really enjoy driving. So let's take a look at the overall income that I've made. So those 2 weeks combined, which in reality is just 1 week, since I started on Thursday, ended on a Wednesday, I've made $1,144 gross income. So worked 18 hours plus 30 hours, which is a 48-hour week. So the rental cost was $489.06. So when you deduct $489 from $1,144, you end up with $654.94 income for the first week. So with that income, and you take that income off $654.94 and you divide it by 48 hours, you will get the hours worked per hour, how much income per hour you're getting. So I'm getting $13.64 overall type of income. You might be wondering, well, what's the actual income for those hours? Well, let's take a look, because that's also important, because if you're trying to weigh out your options with your vehicle, that's going to be important. Before we calculate that, so let me tell you kind of like what I think about this. So what do I think of this income of $13.64 per hour? Do I like it? Do I hate it? Well, here's what I'm going to say, guys. For a non-educated type of job like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, this is basically a non-educated type of income. Well, educated people do work, but obviously this is a non-skill-based labor, if we could call it that, right? To make $13.64 per hour, especially like in South Carolina, well, would be for Charlotte. This is still above minimum wage when it comes to Charlotte. Now, lately, I've been noticing more and more fast food places, warehouse workers, they're getting paid more. So I've talked to various different fast food workers, and for some reason, Chick-fil-A workers get paid like $12 an hour. That's just like the startup pay, right? Like basic employee. While Taco Bell workers are making anywhere from $14 to $15 an hour. I did not ask the McDonald's workers for some reason, but a warehouse worker at, let's say, like Amazon warehouse is making right around $17 to $18 an hour, which is pretty good. And I used to be a certified nurse's assistant, and I used to make income similar to $13.64 per hour. This was like back in the day. I finished doing that type of work back in 2005 once I got married, and I really haven't looked since. But now CNAs are making $25 per hour um, in Charlotte. But on top of that, I don't know if I could believe it or not, they're saying that because there's such a shortage of CNAs, they're paying $25 an hour. And on top of that, they're paying an extra $25. So this is for anybody that's working in the hospital setting. But those that's working like in in-home healthcare type of situation where you work in somebody else's home and you're just giving person assistance, those workers are making anywhere from $15 an hour to like 19, some of them as little as $14 an hour, because my mom still stays in that industry. And this is basically according to the income that she makes. Of course, when you work in a hospital, a lot more work, and you get paid a lot more. So if you look at $25 an hour as what I used to make, well, for being a CNA, the job that I used to do a long time ago, out of many jobs that I did, I'm just kind of like just taking that into account. So it took me it takes 3 to 4 months of college in order for you to basically get a certificate so you could do a CNA type of job, which is certified nurse's assistant. Just takes 3 months, and then you can start making $25 an hour. So that's already like a little bit skilled labor, but really that's kind of like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to healthcare type of labor. Um, if I would have worked that type of job and did overtime, which I used to work 90 hours a week as a CNA. They did not even pay me overtime because at that time there was no shortage, and I had to work for 3 different companies at once, which is Bayada Nurses, Interim Healthcare, and Cypress of Charlotte. I worked for 3, and all of these were in-home healthcare type of CNA work. So it paid anywhere from like $10 to $13 an hour. Sometimes there was some overtime involved if one of the companies gave me more overtime. But literally, I worked 90 hours a week. I really hustled back then just as much as I do now. And I'm 42 years old now. And back then, I think I was like 22 years old when I started. I can't remember. But anyways, with that being said, it looks like 17 years later, I'm making less money, adjusted for inflation, than I was making 17 years ago. Well, technically, and that's working for Uber. Of course, I mean, I don't even know like why I'm like even giving you guys this type of example, because it's so far like from driving. But one thing about being an in-home healthcare type of CNA, you also get lots of free time. So that's kind of like a chill gig where you're in somebody's home, right? And maybe you gotta like help that person like do whatever. Maybe like literally like, okay, let me just show you guys like what I did. Like, just I'll take like one client situation. I work for this 93-year-old lawyer, and my job routine was I show up at his house, and it's like help him get ready, and I take him to the restaurant. He pays for me at the restaurant. Then I would drive him, like I actually would drive him to like some kind of like golf country club. He would sit there and talk to some people. Sometimes I would drive him to his law firm where he already had like a bunch of people working, and he'll just go through the mail because he wasn't really doing any more law work since he was like so old, and he had people doing it for him. So it was like a chill gig. And then before you know it, like dinner comes around, and then we're all going out to eat dinner. Like, could be at a country club, could be at some other fancy restaurant, and he paid for his CNA and his wife's CNA. So that was kind of like a chill gig. And when we're at his house, like once you help him out, do whatever, sometimes he goes take a nap. Like I was just at that time, like there was no like smartphones. I would just get on my laptop, I would do something. We were allowed to do that. So the reason I chose that job, so that I could actually get higher education, while in that I could actually study and learn some more. So that was like a kind of like a chill gig. So driving is like, now it's like no different. But initially when we all started driving, I'm sure you guys remember this, like a couple years ago, we're making anywhere from $30 to $50 an hour, sometimes more. Like our pay was just like all over the place. Like we were just making good income. And then slowly but surely that was taken away from us. And this is why now we need to think about like other sources of income. Like, what can we do? What do we do? Do we stay with this income? Because what does this 1364 an hour remind you of? All it is just basically minimum wage. Some states are already at 15 and some are above 15 hours, $15 an hour. North Carolina, South Carolina haven't got up to that, but like I was saying, they're starting to pay this type of income now. So we're technically considered either above or below minimum wage, like with this type of income. So fact of the matter is, cost of living has gone up drastically. It's definitely not where it used to be 17 years ago. So with the money that I was making then was adjusted for inflation, I was making like definitely $25 an hour at that point, because cost of living has doubled or tripled in some cases. So it means your income should double or triple. With these type of prices, it hasn't tripled. So at $30 an hour, or like 25, 30, we would still be able to do okay. But let's see, if there was no expenses whatsoever, how much money would I made? So 1,144 divided by 48 hours. So I would be making $23.83. So $23.83. That's how much per hour I would be making. So this is definitely less than $30 an hour that I try to make. It's less than $25 an hour that sometimes I try to get. This is cherry picking, also with some non-cherry picking, and also one quest completed, which gave me like $100 to get to that income level. Without the $100, the income would be a lot less. So let's see, 1,014 divided by 48. So let's say I would have not hit that bonus, I would be making $21.12. So you could kind of see how our pay is like manipulated a little bit. It's like, okay, you hit the bonus. Well, you didn't just quite hit the bonus. Well, you're getting like much lower pay. If you hit the bonus, your pay is a little bit greater. But still, this income sucks because we're not just showing up to work. We are basically taking on expenses that are related to our vehicles, vehicle depreciation, and many other factors. So the thing about renting a Tesla or any other car for that matter, when you make $1,364, I mean, what can you expect really? That is technically not your car. That is like not your problem. You don't have to worry about none of those things. You could also write off the rental on your taxes. So yeah, it's not fun. You know, it's kind of like you're losing money, but at the same time, you write that off on your taxes, and then you don't have to worry about anything to do with that car. If you get sick and tired of doing Uber and Uber rental, just give it back, like I did. If you have an emergency situation and maybe your income is currently not working out, maybe you can't find a nice replacement, then you could quickly get back, rent another car again, and get back to it. So why am I renting a Tesla versus like any other car? Well, because of Uber trying to do zero incentive. They're trying to have that standard zero emissions incentive, which is not that dollar that they're claiming to give. But because of that, the Tesla's discounted. So it's cheaper. And because it's discounted, the cost of renting a Nissan Altima or a Tesla, Tesla's just such a better, I guess, deal, especially for me because I got a home charger now. So when I charge it up at home, I leave it a full charge, and it takes me 6 to 8 hours to fully charge the car. So it's completely convenient. Like the day before, yesterday, before giving the car back, I charged it up full at home. I did not even stop by any other charger, and I was able to get home all with that same charge. That being said, look at the income that I made for that day. $76. I worked 4 hours and 39 minutes. Sure, I had lots of charge left, and I just came home. Now, with this being said, if I owned a Tesla, right? If I just like owned it outright, the charging is like very cheap. It's very easy to save money that way. I think Teslas, they last long enough for you to really get your good use out of it. But still, working for $23.83 per hour, I don't know, that just doesn't justify it for me. Unless you really have something else going for you, maybe you're using a Tesla or something else, some other car that's fuel efficient, like maybe let's say like a Prius. Then if you have some other job and you're just doing this as a side hustle, like this is not bad. Because let's say you're not you're not working right now, like today, maybe you got off and you're like, well, I want to go to this, let's say like fancy restaurant or a restaurant, and you're sitting at your home. So all you got to do is just open your Uber app up and put in that address, that proximity to start heading towards that destination. You might get a ride on the way over there to that restaurant. Boom, you just made that money, put that money in your pocket, use it for food. So yesterday, before giving a Tesla, I actually had a personal client, and you guys hate that, but I don't care. I'll block anybody that wants to talk negative about it. I don't even care. But doing personal rides is the only way to really make money with this. I'm not going to mention my other situations, but yesterday I did one simple ride here locally, made $60, and that was basically on the way to giving a Tesla back. So did a little job, gave the Tesla back, took out my wife to a nice Japanese restaurant, spent like $40 there, and that was a nice little date. Still had money left over. Bought my kids some pizza, so there you go. I just basically said how I use it. But the only way to really make it in this industry is then to basically do personal rides, to build your own business. And of course, make sure you do everything correctly. Do not just listen to some guy on YouTube talking about it and think you could just go out and do it. Do it properly, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to do your due diligence. I could only say what's possible. You need to figure out what's important for you to get in order for you to do that. So with that being said, guys, this is all I have for you guys for today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.